Throughout the day today, the National Green Tribunal came down hard on the art of living, on the Environment Ministry, on the Delhi government, on the Water Resources Ministry for why they had not done adequate due diligence before granting permission to Sri Sri Ravi Shankar for holding the World Cultural Extravaganza on the banks of the river Yamuna. But in the end, the Green Tribunal said, with just 2 days to go for this global event to begin, it's now not possible to cancel permission. A 5 crore rupee penalty has been laid. Sri Sri seems upset with the penalty, saying it's very unfortunate that he's being penalized for the good work that he's doing. Here's the day's big story.
Amid high-voltage fight over the World Culture event, Green Tribunal gave its nod for the mega event on Yamuna's floodplains, but imposed fines on Art of Living and Delhi Pollution Control Committee. NGT also raised tough questions, stating that all authorities, including DDA, Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, failed to discharge their statutory and constitutional duties.
The court imposed cost and penalties on these government departments and also further expressing displeasure said that if any further permission by the DDA is given for the Yamuna floodplains, it will be the discretion of the NGT to clear it or not.
The matter was the violation of your Green Tribunal orders. How can the Indian Army be summoned to make arrangements for a private function? These are the questions that were raised. And for this, there's been no answer.
Despite the Green Tribunal's clearance, the trouble continues to brew for Sri Sri Ravi Shankar's organization. Farmers protested against Art of Living, accusing it of land grab.
आप खुद देख लो सामने डैमेज जो हो रहा है. इसका जो गोभी खड़ी है ना यहाँ, इसका 36,000 रुपए किलो का बीज था. Just imagine, 36,000 रुपए किलो. और उसके अंदर फिर उन्होंने खाद डाला है, पानी लगाया है, मेहनत कराई है, कितना एहसास करेंगे आप. तो आप 14 तारीख को यहाँ पर आए तो मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा कितना डैमेज होगा.
मेरे पास 9 बीघा जमीन थी सर, जिसमें 3 बीघा जमीन उस पे बुलडोजर चला दिए.
क्या उगा रखा था आपने?
उसमें करेला तोरी थी जी.
I have a suspicion, although I'm not putting any blame on anybody, but this whole thing of creating gardens, creating biodiversity parks by a private organization, I think is much more a land grabbing operation than any benevolent attitude towards Delhi.
With the festival, which will be held on the Yamuna floodplains, being marred with allegations of flouting environmental norms, questions are raised why the authorities turned a blind eye towards Art of Living's activities, which can cause lasting damage to the Yamuna floodplains. Bureau Report, India Today.
During the hearing in the National Green Tribunal, it emerged that the Art of Living had actually changed a lot of the terms of reference of the permission that had originally been granted. Let me take you through point by point the difference between the permission that was sought and ultimately what's happening on the ground. As far as the area for the venue is concerned, permission was taken only for 97 acres. 60 acres from the DDA, 37 acres from the UP Irrigation Department. Now on the ground, this entire event is spread over an area of 1,000 acres, 1,000 acres, 10 times the permission that had been sought. The size of the gathering earlier in the note that had been sent to the DDA was supposed to be between 2 and 3 lakh rupees, 3 lakh people every day, which would work out to at a maximum 6 lakh people over 3 days. However, now Art of Living is saying that there will be 35 lakh people attending over 3 days, which means 10 lakh people per day, which is 5 times the number for which permission was taken. As far as parking is concerned, earlier the Millennium Bus Depot, which already has infrastructure that exists, had been the spot that had been demarcated. Now they've constructed a massive parking spot across the Yamuna floodplain. Now, take a look at the concern that environmentalists have been raising and the defense that the Art of Living has come up with. The critical concern is that the construction will damage the fragile ecosystem of the Yamuna floodplain, which is very close to the Okla bird sanctuary. The defense is that the construction material that has been used is eco-friendly. The stage that's been constructed is a temporary stage and therefore there will be no permanent damage. Apart from this, the other big concern that environmentalists have raised is that there is illegal dumping taking place in the Yamuna floodplains. The Art of Living, for its part, says that the dumping had happened earlier. Their volunteers, in fact, have been working over the past several weeks to clear out the debris that had collected along the Yamuna floodplains. The ground is being stripped of its natural vegetation, say environmentalists. Sri Sri Ravi Shankar himself has come on record to say that not a single tree has been cleared, even though there are several areas which have been cleared to make way for small roads. Environmentalists and farmers is that their crops have been damaged because of the new roads that have been built. The Art of Living defense is that no new concrete loads have been built. Whatever ramps have been constructed are temporary in nature. I drive past the Yamuna river every single day on my way to work and on the way back. This entire area was completely uninhabited, unlivable. Now you've got bridges going all the way through. It's been cleared up. Behind us, preparations for the massive World Cultural Festival. Joining us on the Newsroom showdown tonight, I want to begin by introducing Prasanna Prabhu. He's a spokesperson of the Art of Living, works very closely with Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, used to be a TV producer before this and now has taken over to the spiritual side. Bharti Chaturvedi is an environmentalist. She works with Chintan and she's joining us on the Yamuna river as we talk about the potential damage. Thank you very much, the both of you, for joining us. Now, the National Green Tribunal has given the permission for the World Cultural Festival to take place over here. But it wasn't very happy with what's happening. Essentially, the judges said, we have no option. Given the fact, and can I just ask my camera person to turn around and show that big stage at the back, huge stage of the sort that's never been seen in the capital. Now that this has been set up, you left the judges with no choice. Why is someone like Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who's so respected, has such huge influence, doing something which is patently violative of the law?
See, we applied for all the possible permissions that were required. We got that. It's only then when we started the work. Having done that, we invited people from all over the globe, 155 countries, people, artists participating on this, for which we created a stage. As we went along, people increased, stage got bigger, it's ended up with 7 acres, right? Now, how can we overnight move it any other place? It's not practical, it's not possible.
No, but you're damaging the fragile ecology of the Yamuna, and this at an institution and against a person who is very, very environmentally conscious otherwise.
Completely. Like I must add here, we've rejuvenated 16 rivers across the country. Rivers that were only on the map, never ever, no water there.
Yamuna is virtually like that.
Yeah, but we rejuvenated 16. We are not people, for the last 35 years this organization has been, we've worked so hard on environment. So we are not going to do anything that's going to harm the Jamna ji. Everything that you see there is temporary. It's going to move out the day the event gets over. I mean, not the day. The process of removing will start the day the event gets over.
Let me put that question to the environmentalist. Bharti, the Art of Living says, look at our track record. We've got many decades of actually working in favor of the environment. They're not some big industrial house with a dodgy track record. They've genuinely done some good work. And they're saying the day this extravaganza ends, the next day we'll start clearing this out. All of what you're seeing, this bridge, that massive stage, it's all temporary.
So, regardless of the record, I think I'm not going to contest the record here. What I do want to say is the only concern thousands of us, millions of us actually have is about Jamna ji, about the river that we so care for. And it isn't a Delhi person's river either, it's all our rivers. And we don't believe that even if they clear out, there's been massive damage done. I'm very familiar with the area for many years.
No, but one second, when you talk about damage that they've done, the reality is, look at this river.
Okay,
just turn around. This river stinks at all times.
Okay, so
the stench is not as bad right now, but it's stinking even now.
But since 2010...
Let me get a little bit of speaking time, yeah? So firstly, this is a floodplain that is really tightly compacted because a lot of the vegetation has been removed. Now, these are not forests. These are reeds, these are grasses. This is exactly the floodplain that has to be allowed to have all of this, because as the Yamuna actually floods over, which it does a little bit every year, that's the nature of this particular river. And all of this absorbs the groundwater. All of it actually prevents flooding. And after Chennai, we've learned our bitter lesson about how actually you can't allow anything.
No, but they're saying
in
that this is
area.
not permanent. This will go away when they go.
It doesn't matter, because once that it's cut, once that it's done, you've destroyed all the elements of the ecosystem.
You've destroyed the elements of the ecosystem, and I drive past every day. This is one of the reasons why this story has really caught everyone's imagination, because this is really where people live. They drive past one of the main flyovers taking you in and out of the capital region.
Yeah, it's fait accompli. It's fait accompli.
Once you've done this area was uninhabited. Despite the pollution, there was a huge amount of flora and fauna in this area. It's all gone. You've just leveled it all out. You've put that giant stage over there, and who knows what will happen from here. You're taking responsibility for 3 years, but what happens 3 years, 3 days, what happens 3 years, 30 years down the line?
See, one thing I must tell you, when we were actually given this permission to do work here, when we took it over, there were acres and acres of land here which had debris in it. Nobody seemed to have ever looked at that debris, which probably came from some construction site. I don't know. I don't really know. Huge. We are the ones who removed that. We are the ones who got it out of the way. We are the ones who leveled it. And by the way, 2010, we ran a huge campaign in Delhi, Meri Delhi, Meri Yamuna. We removed 512 tons of garbage from Jamna Ji. We really genuinely care for Jamna Ji. We don't just do tokenism. We genuinely work. And I promise you, we leave Jamna Ji's Tat better than we found it in December.
Leave it better than they found it. The reality also is, and we saw Sri Sri say it, that buffaloes are now going into the Yamuna. Earlier, no buffalo used to enter the Yamuna.
Well, let me say one thing. I don't believe that buffaloes are any environmental indicator. But other than that, I also feel that it's fait accompli, because you cannot leave this better than you found it. You have completely killed all the bird life here. There are 3 really unusual birds found only here in the whole region. They've gone. This is breeding season. There's no food.
This is breeding season?
Breeding season for a lot of birds. So the reeds have gone. The
Look at that.
sources
Look at that.
have gone. Yeah, they're going
Look
to
at
the
that.
Okla Bird Sanctuary. They're going to the
The
Okla
Okla Bird Sanctuary is very close by. Also, why should the Indian Army, for example, be helping you construct these bridges? You know that bridge over there that's been constructed by the Indian Army. This bridge has been constructed specially as well. It almost seems as if the entire government paraphernalia is out to try and help out what is essentially a private event.
Millions of people are expected to come here, Rahul.
Sure.
Their safety is prime importance. Who can build a bridge of a temporary nature better than them?
Okay,
That is
so if I have
can I
a
please
party,
complete?
can the army
Can I
please
please
come and build my
complete?
private
Can I
party?
please
Okay,
complete?
one by one,
Please,
one by one.
please. So I'm saying, what is the safest thing that you would do in a temporary structure for people, and not just few hundreds, thousands, by the lakhs to come over? Which is the safest bet you have? These are the people that we requested. It worked. Come on, you have to
No, but it
celebrate
seems that the
this.
system is in overdrive to try and help you make this happen.
Yeah.
Permissions have been granted after being rejected. Now, this won't happen. So, isn't it in some senses misuse of the exalted position that Sri Sri has in society?
I tell you, the position that Sri Sri has in his society has only used to bring people together. People, all sections of society, all walks of life, whether they're rich, whether they're poor, whether they're any religion, any caste, creed, all coming together, sitting on one dais and celebrating world peace. What's wrong with that?
Let Bharti respond to this. Even I've got coming down from the United States. They're coming here to participate. This is a giant celebration of Indian culture. Why should it not be treated as such? Why should the art of living be pushed into a corner as this question?
Okay, so I don't think it's about pushing anyone to a corner. It's about protecting what we call the commons, our river, which belongs to all of us and those who are not yet born. But importantly, what I really think is that, the argument that we've got all the permissions, first of all, a lot of permissions, as the court revealed today, have been given. But I'll move beyond that.
No, you don't have police permission, you don't have fire permission, and you're waiting for the stage to be completed. Would this happen for some other private function? One day before the event is to start, you still don't have permission because you're saying our stage is not completed. If this wasn't a special organization and if the government wasn't favorable, it wouldn't have been allowed to happen.
I commit to you, all the permissions that are required before the event starts will be given, because everybody is working on that right now as we speak.
This is one thing I want to take to another level. I find it very disturbing that actually even though a lot of permissions which are key actually to citizens' safety were not given, absolutely, despite that, the court found itself completely impotent to stop this because a prior investment had been made. And
no, also because you got 3.5 million people coming.
Yes.
In the application
So
that you filed, I read that application with the DDA. You say that 2 lakh people will come every day, which is about 6 lakh people over 3 days. 3 days. Suddenly it becomes 3.5 million people. That's 7 times the number of people that you
Rahul,
sought
if I
permission
may,
for.
just a sec. What I want to stress is, and this is a global urban phenomenon, is you work based on your carrying capacity of your city. So our city doesn't have the capacity to host 35 lakh people, and so you could have gone to the Noida Convention Center or any other place or not had such an
No,
extravaganza.
also you all asked for permission for 2 lakh people per day. Now there'll be 35 lakh people over 3 days instead of 6 lakhs that you all asked for permission for.
See, as we went along, people from across the globe, this overwhelming response, people coming in from everywhere, we can't tell them to go away. Come on.
No, but then you should have been more upfront in terms of the number of people that you said would come.
We are hosts.
But
We
at
need to
what
welcome,
cost?
include.
Yes.
We need to include the inclusive nature of our country needs to be exhibited.
But
That is
you-
exactly what we're
See,
doing right
I've
now.
got
No,
over
but
here some
I
more
think
details.
many
You're saying
citizens
that
are
the
completely
DDA
excluded from what has
allocated
happened.
60 acres. The Uttar Pradesh Irrigation Department gave you 37 more. That's about 100 acres in total. This whole expanse is over 1,000 acres. You sought permission for 100 acres. Your actual event is over 1,000 acres. How can that be all right?
The stage that you see is on that. That's where the permissions are taken. This is where the people are going to sit. This is where the pool is built.
But he
So-
himself, if I may, that the stage became bigger and bigger as the event became bigger and bigger. I find it really frightening that in this incredibly fragile ecology, you actually decided to have this event and then it just ballooned into this
Is
mega
that not
extravaganza.
even more dangerous?
Isn't
No,
that,
no,
isn't
no,
that corruption of the soul?
No, it's not corruption of the
It
soul,
surely
ma'am.
is.
I'm extremely sorry. I
I'm
beg
sorry.
to differ. I mean,
Then
I don't think that's.
It is. It's
no,
complete
it's not.
corruption.
It's
of,
not.
No, but is
you've
that not
stolen-
unfair?
It's
you've
not.
You
stolen
say
the
6 lakh
Yamuna
people
from
will-
all of us. You've stolen
We have
the Yamuna.
not. We have, in fact,
please give
we are
it back by
we,
not
we, are-
having
we, are,
this
we are
event.
people who worked very hard to make sure that the
Lots of
Yamuna.
people have worked very
so
hard.
have
Please.
we. So you cannot
But
take
we
that
haven't
away from
taken-
us.
Yes, but we don't
Please,
take it.
ma'am, you cannot take that away
We
from
don't
us.
take it away, but
you
there are hundreds of people
you
who
are.
worked.
You are taking
Nobody's
it away.
worked.
It's not fair.
Okay,
it's
but
not
we
fair
have
to say
never-
that.
We have never had a private party here.
This is
after-
not a private
Of
party.
course
Where
it's
is a
not.
private party of a
This
few
is not
million
a
people?
Well,
This is the
please,
most
this is-
public party that you can ever have.
Yes, but it's still a
Celebrating
private-
India's diversity.
This is not India.
Celebrating
this is not,
India's peace.
This is not my
Please
diversity.
appreciate.
This is not my diversity. Sorry.
Does all this controversy take away from some of the spirit of this event? The fact that this was supposed to be a giant celebration now clouded with this huge environmental controversy?
See, what we set off is what? Harmony and diversity. We wanted to talk about world peace, which is what we're going to do. We have people participating from 155 countries. Every state of this country is being represented. We have dignitaries, commoners, farmers, people from every section of society participating and giving this message of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one world family. Look at that. That's what we are achieving. And we need to applaud that. Applaud this organization for having taken such a lot of measures to make sure this whole world comes together.
Final words.
So, you know, I have lots of emails from musicians, young people, particularly young people, you know, 20s and till their mid-30s, saying they've backed out of being either musicians or volunteers because they're very distressed at how this is taking place. So I really think this is something that's irreversible environmentally, and I'm very disappointed because I would never expect Mr. Shankar or any of you to do this, you know.
Okay, I'm not going to take sides. You've heard from the Art of Living Foundation, you've heard from very, very concerned environmentalists. This is an issue over which there's a raging debate with both points of view being very, very strongly articulated. So we leave it to our viewers to decide what they make of this controversy. But this was completely avoidable. This could have been done very nicely.
I've got
in
thousands
some
of
other
letters
place.
of more and more young people who want to participate and be part of this function. Okay. So I wanted to put that on record as well.
Well, in the country, we must listen to the courts. The NGT has
We
ruled.
will completely and
that
totally
ruling
go
must
by
now be
whatever
followed.
they say.
What's happened is unfortunate, but we leave it to our viewers to decide what they make of this. Thank you very much, the both of you, for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a news update coming in now that Sri Sri Ravi Shankar has tweeted to say that he's not satisfied with the permission that's been given by the National Green Tribunal. He says the Art of Living will appeal against this. He concludes by saying Satyamev Jayate. He says कुछ लोगों ने कहा ये जुर्म है, आपको जुर्माना करेंगे. हमने हंस के कहा हम जुनून हैं उसके जिसके आप हो. Expressing his unhappiness with the manner in which the NGT has levied a fine of 5 crore rupees, they say they will appeal against this. This is a story we'll keep tracking very closely.
We're getting in some breaking news related to the story. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar has come out with a statement over the controversy surrounding the army being roped in to build those bridges, as Kamaljeet Sandhu was just...
पैसे वाले बाबू मेरा बजट बना दो, पैसे वाले बाबू मेरा बजट बना दो, बजट बना दो, बजट बना दो, पैसे वाले मेरा बजट तू बना